This is the tea whale. At the end of one of our VBC meetings a couple of years ago, this community came in and they're like, okay, I know VBC is about to start. We're really late coming into the process, but we have a problem. We have an emergency, actually. We need an emergency tea house. And we were like, okay, we've got 15 minutes. There's 15 of you. All of them had come in to try to persuade us to support them. So we were like, okay, just each one of you take a minute to talk about how you think this tea house needs to work. So somebody says, okay, well, it's an emergency and we need it right now and that's all I care about. You know, we need some help. And then somebody says, well, it needs to be a sacred geometry. That's what I think. And somebody else says, that's great. I want it to be a spiral. How about that? And then somebody else said, well, it needs to have these panels that open during the day and create sun and rain sort of shelter around the perimeter. And then they could close at night and create a secured and locked place. So they went around and around, and at the end, almost at the end, we didn't quite have it together. It hadn't gelled, and finally the 15th person who spoke said, yeah, all that's true, and it needs to look like a freaking whale. So these panels close at night and form the face of this beautiful smiling blue whale with this sort of happy little eye here. And the kids, when they go inside the belly of the whale, just have the most amazing time. This little man over here is actually standing in the kitchen, and behind him is the self-service, or not the self-service, but the drive-up window for bicyclists who can come up and say, hi, I'd like some chocolate cake to go, please. The Tea Palace. This is the biggest ephemeral structure that we've done, besides the Earth Day Village. But this is set up a few times a year in different situations, but it is a gigantic sculptural village watering hole that takes on all kinds of different configurations. But it's a spectacular creative cultural gathering place. I'm very happy to tell you that we're now tearing up lots of asphalt in order to put in gardens as part of a program that's called DPAVE. So we do things like form plans for what we're going to do with the parking lot when we're done with it. And then people get out. They mostly arrive on their bikes. There's a breakfast all together. And then in quick order, they've ripped up the asphalt and put it into dumpsters where it's going to go somewhere else to fill potholes or something. They clean up the yard, or clean up the grounds, and then have a party. So that's what sustainability looks like. You know, the garden is a big part of it, but this is the most important piece, I would say. And then the chairman of the Democratic Party of Portland, Oregon says, hey, I'm going to create a food forest on my lot. I want to have, from the ground cover all the way to the tops of the trees, I want a landscape of abundance to share with my neighbors and also birds and other creatures. So that's a really great plan that is now underway. And here's where it's actually fully manifest. These are the offices of Communitecture, a community-based architecture and planning firm that I'm a part of. And this is where we basically have a microclimate all around the site, and we have trellises that are forming solar shades. But it's a microclimate, so even when it's hot out, it's quite shady and cool in here. The thermal mass is kept pretty cool all day. There's apples and pears and cherries and all kinds of different fruit trees, Asian pears. There's even almonds growing there. And the most succulent grapes. If you come to Portland, Oregon, you definitely have to come during grape season for these. So these are providing shade onto the vast expanses of glass that we have in our storefront. Boysenberries on the eastern trellis, shading the office. We've got artichokes, potatoes, tomatoes, even old growth asparagus, believe it or not. Lots of different herbs, mushrooms, lots of flowers. Part of our traffic calming strategy to discourage people from coming back in their cars is to grow stinging nettles in the grass strip here. And I'm not telling who, but sometime during the night, somebody drilled some holes in the concrete here and put in some blackberries and some grapes to start going up the telephone poles. So, you know, it looked like a good place to grow plants. That's what we think. All right. So the kind of things that are going on in Communitecture have everything to do with community and cultural development and sustainability. And this is one of our more recent projects. This fabulous thing happened. I just got to stop for a second. What I'm about to show you, not just this project, but the next few ones, is all about Joseph Campbell's advice that we should follow our bliss, rather than submitting to the idea that, you know, we need to just be looking at the bottom line all the time. This project and the next ones I'll show you are evidence, they're proof of the idea that if you keep doing what you believe in, what you think is really important, that somehow you'll be supported by all these ways that economics actually works when you do what you love. So here we've got Pacific University west of Portland saying, hey, we've been hearing about what you guys are doing. We've created a strategy and we want to test it out and get your help to make it happen. To bring all of our colleges together at this 3-acre site that we've purchased. We want to get all of the staff from the colleges coming out and doing hands-on projects. This is a permaculture site, the B Street Permaculture Demonstration Site, where all these different people from the colleges will work with the local community from Forest Grove to undertake projects on the site to develop all these facilities. And in this way, they will cross-pollinate disciplines within their university in order to transition the university as a whole to sustainability. A very, very inspired strategy for transforming their institution. So you can see it's this whole site. There's even a riparian edge, a whole system of pathways, gathering places, information spaces, places of large assemblies and performance, market gardens and children's gardens, nurseries, and outdoor classrooms. Getting a little closer in, these are just some pretty simple agrarian type structures for multi-use activities, but there's a community piazza in between the space and lots and lots of cob installations here as well. And as we move through the site, you see that there are gateways in and out of the site. This kind of looks sort of ordinary, but the integration of the buildings and the landscape and the fact that all of this is envisioned to be built as an educational process involving people building relationships as they build the stuff. So it looks simple, but it's envisioned as a process. This is looking at it from the air. You can see where it's located in the Willamette Valley here. There's a cob fireplace and a pavilion and large bench here, composting toilet facilities. Information kiosks that the students of the university will build, including reused windows and all this repurposed material that helps you sort of guide your way around the site. Here's a meadow that becomes an amphitheater with terraces around the perimeter that are actually bioswales. They're holding water on the site and causing increasing diversity in the plant and animal life here. And then even spherical structures of living material that's woven together. And in the distance, there's an outdoor classroom that looks like this. This is built by students involving cob and then these sort of shell-shaped floating roofs. Nursery and market garden and greenhouses made out of recycled glass. So, you've seen stuff like this before perhaps, but to have it being envisioned as an educational process with a major university is a big deal. This is another living structure. This is at the intersection of forest pathways where you walk into this woven willow structure that's alive and you can sit in it. And then this is a circular space of planted trees, fruit trees actually, restating the forest, the circular forest sacred gathering places of our grandmothers that were cut down so aggressively by invaders so long ago. Never forgotten by us and now reemerging. Also, we've been doing projects like this, infill co-housing, very small micro kind of co-housing here on this lot where we save a house, we turn a garage into a home. Now, this is all about affordable housing. This converted garage is about $115,000 to buy. This one's about $140,000. It's a self-sufficient small house. And this larger one, more expensive, but integrating photovoltaic, passive solar design, water catchment, and now green now gray water as well. This facility doesn't have to have parking because in Portland, if you're within 500 feet of a transit street, you're no longer required by the city to incorporate parking into anything that is designed and built. So the gardens, the gateways, the bike parking, the piazza, and the little community tea house and guest house are all owned together while the buildings are owned separately by separate families. Lots of co-housing is happening. Exuberant, beautiful, respectful of the existing fabric, small footprints, multifamily, incorporating bike pieces to support trellises, like this beautiful flower made out of pieces of bicycle wheels, and then more bicycle wheels up here, but now holding pieces of stained glass that cast this kaleidoscopic light against the shingles at the end of the day. And this very, very wonderful little prototype of a village on a 50 by 100 lot and all of the separate cottages, less than 200 square feet, fully self-sufficient houses with their own water catchment systems, and then retrofitting the old existing cottage of about 800 square feet. sharing gardens and all of these other amenities, a bicycle-based culture,